This cartoon is a classic case of liberal propaganda. It actually stems from a severely corrupted worldview. It is the belief that unless things are handled by the federal government, that they cannot be handled at all. Take wetlands, for example. Do you really think that people from Texas or New York have the slightest understanding of wetlands? Those in Louisiana and Florida are better equipped to handle that. Then there is disaster aid. We have seen that federal agencies have been politicized, and aid is distributed based on intersectionality instead of practicality. Louisiana and Florida should be able to keep the money that they send to FEMA and deal with disasters themselves. If someone willingly wishes to donate, they can. If you do not want that risk, move to a state that has a different risk that you are willing to take. Maybe people would believe global warming, climate change propaganda, if the predictions were not repeatedly failing. After all, by this point, all of the polar bears were supposed to be extinct, but are still around. And half of Florida is supposed to be underwater, but it is still around. Climate change activists are like the boy who cried wolf. I think I might actually agree with Mr. Pett for once. After all, he has bragged about children rubbing his legs. He sniffs children for no reason, and kept the Epstein list under wraps during his entire administration, as opposed to President Trump, whom the victims have said is not on the list. Just like Mr. Handelsman from a few moments ago, this is a major misunderstanding that liberals have. They believe that unless something is controlled by the federal government, it cannot be done at all. Now, does anybody know what the Department of Education actually does? It does nothing with educating students. It distributes grants, which can be done by the Treasury, or the states can just keep that money for themselves. It also issues lawsuits about violations of federal law, which should be done by actual law enforcement agencies. In truth, if the Department of Education disappeared, not one teacher or student would probably notice a difference. Apparently I have to go into this mask nonsense again. The Border Patrol agents were not originally wearing masks, but then people decided to dox them, and thus threatening their families. As a result, they started wearing masks. The only reason that these people do not want federal agents wearing masks is because they want the opportunity to dox them, and to potentially collect one of the many bounties out on these brave officers. These law enforcement officers have a difficult and sometimes thankless job. I have an important question that Mr. Bennett is not going to want to answer. Was this photo taken before or after Epstein's many convictions? After all, Epstein, as per the emails, clearly hated Donald Trump. Furthermore, he did not fundraise with Donald Trump and did not text Donald Trump during congressional hearings. Donald Trump did ban Epstein from his properties. I think that President Trump should have acted sooner, but that is another issue that is being muddied by Mr. Bennett's libel. Mr. Danziger has very severe Trump derangement syndrome. That is not up for debate. Neither Attorney General Bondi nor President Trump forced these people to do illegal things. They chose to commit mortgage fraud, share classified intelligence with family members, or to take classified documents when they did not have legal access to them. Yet, they should be convicted for these crimes. However, Mr. Danziger is under the delusion that only President Trump should be convicted, even if he never did what he was convicted of. The Democrats have yet to list a single illegal order. That is because there are no illegal orders to disobey. It is not as if President Trump is forcing them to take an experimental drug to keep their jobs. All he is asking them to do is enforce federal law and stop the narco-terrorists. I cannot see how either of those is illegal. If President Trump were on Putin's payroll, why did Russia wait until President Trump was out of office before invading? Ukraine has been a part of every step of the peace deal thus far. If the deal was unfairly benefiting Russia, I would think that Ukraine would be saying something by now.